Got him.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 22, 2020, episode 222. And this week, you guessed it, Cold War II. And I'm not your echo chamber, but I'm your 2222 buddy Basil Tutu.
This is Gonz, not in a tutu, but in some shorts.
Yes.
Elon Musk shorts.
Lots of
shorts.
Oh no, that's what we need, some listener art of. Gonz and his Elon Musk Tesla shorts. They're
my
not
Tesla
too
stock.
different. I'm sure you wore smaller garments in your competitive swimming days.
Oh yeah, I was Speedo all the way, and actually I lived through the transition from the Speedo to the Jammer. Do you know what a Jammer is?
I do know what the Jammer is.
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of like bike shorts.
It's the boxer brief of swimwear.
Yeah. It prevented us from shaving, more than what we had to shave as competitive swimmers.
Wow. We value information on this show, and normally we believe that there is no such thing as too much information. And, there's exceptions to every rule. I'll tell you that.
It's no secret that competitive swimmers shave their bodies for major competitions. You didn't know this? Bikers do it too. It's weird when bikers do it though.
And welcome everybody to Who Else Shaves Their Body, a new podcast from Gonz and Basil.
Yeah,
Let's name all the types of people who shave it all. All right, we're already off the rails, but we're having a good time.
And I wanted to. Did you have a story you want to tell, or did we want to just jump into some? I had a little thing here that I wanted to
do your little thing while
with.
I consider my future.
Okay. As you have an existential crisis about the podcast.
Yes.
I wanted to play this clip. I know a lot of people were upset that I was so mad at you, so I wanted to start things off with a little light heart. This is some video footage from I guess Blue Rose Ministry, where this guy apparently channels aliens. And it works. The sound does justice. So if you're just listening, it's great, but you're missing out on the facial expressions of the guy. It's a 30-second clip here from an old UFO documentary. So here we go.
I came across the Blue Rose Ministry, led by the Reverend Robert Short. He said for $50, he'd channel an ET for me.
I will be getting in touch with my contact or my source, whose name, or let us say, whose identity is Cortunk.
Whoa.
This is Central Control. This is Central Control.
I can't get over how funny that footage is.
Yeah, that seems legit. For $50 too, what a great deal.
This is a while ago too. I think this is maybe mid-90s or something.
This is Central Control. This is Central Control.
Yeah, people in the chat saying demonic possession. Seriously, wouldn't expect any less. The best part is the guy interviewing him tries not to laugh. Yeah. And like the look on his face of trying to keep a straight face, that's pretty funny. But the squished face, I think I figured it out because if you go to Men in Black, you ever see Men in Black, Basil?
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where this alien guy is basically an alien inside of like a human body, and his face gets all scrunched up,
Yeah.
And all weird. It's very reminiscent of this guy's alien channeling. And
sugar water.
Yeah, same kind of deal going on. And I want to point out one more thing because this kind of went viral the last couple days. Is Kamala Harris? Have you seen that footage of allegedly Kamala Harris on the news?
No.
You haven't seen it. Okay, this is more of a visual thing, so it's kind of hard to explain. But basically, there's a side-by-side depiction of Kamala Harris on
I did
July
see this.
10th.
Yeah.
July 10th, and the one next to it, July 18th. So only about a week difference. But you can clearly tell something's up. Either it's not the same person, or they had some kind of plastic surgery that went wrong. It's a very bizarre situation. It almost looks like her face was stretched back, like her eyelids are higher and like her cheeks are all pulled up.
Cheekbones are a little bit more defined.
Men in Black. Same thing. Do you remember that scene where the alien grabs his like head and pulls back the skin and makes him look kind of like
Oh my gosh, you have all these lined up and ready. That is a disturbing picture. Yes.
I know it's a super disturbing picture, but I'm telling you, Men in Black, man, they're giving away all the secrets, and now it's all coming to
I saw that in the context of a bunch of other people that looked like they had similar things going on. I think there's one with Nancy Pelosi, and then they had one with Hillary Clinton, but what turned me off to the whole story and why I did not pursue it any further was they had Hillary Clinton next to her known lookalike. Yeah, the person who put a lot of time and energy into looking like Hillary Clinton. I'm like, okay, come on, you guys aren't even trying.
That's maybe what's going on here too.
Yeah, it could be a little body double, body double action.
For sure. But it's just weird, all these politicians in there. They're strange.
Well, the weird thing is that nobody seems to notice, or somebody does, but it's conspiracy theory. But it's just right there. You look at it. That does not. I mean, it quite possibly could be the same person, just with some serious. Either maybe it's deep fake. Maybe there's like they have Snapchat filters. You can turn yourself into a mouse or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they have live news broadcast Snapchat filters now. Which is not even that crazy of an idea.
No. That kind of thing is definitely possible, especially if, she's having a bad makeup day or something, turn on the filters.
Yeah. Well, and, even to bring it a little bit deeper, you could have, it doesn't even have to be her. It could just be like a semi lookalike, and then they overlay the Kamala filter and run her voice through the Adobe, voice modulation. And there you go. You can have all sorts of Kamalas running around.
This is deep.
You know what? I'm not prepared to tell any cool stories, but more or less nothing's changed. I had an exciting time the other day, but I'll save that story for another time. But I want to thank Connie who sent an article real quick right before we pressed record, and the article or the headline speaks for itself, but this is on entrepreneur.com. KFC to 3D print chicken using lab-grown meat of the future. Yeah, so just something.
Yikes.
And they're partnering with a Russian company to do it.
Good.
Yeah,
that's why not the whole Russia, Putin taking over the world narrative for stuff like that?
That's what
always
I'm
like
saying.
Trump stuff.
This is the perfect way for Putin to get his troll farm nanobots into the American food supply.
Yeah. All right. Did you? Is there a Flippy update that you want to?
We got a short little Flippy update here.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. Flippy, for those who don't know, is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arm who is taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use Flippy as a proxy conversation to discuss the wide world of robotics sneaking their way into our lives. This one is, we veered off the path a little bit on Flippy updates, so no robot arms per se here, but I thought it was an interesting little update in the world of robotics. First we had robot dogs, then we have, robot, girlfriends, and now we have, I'm over here on SmithsonianMag.com, beetles wearing tiny robotic camera backpacks give bug's eye view of the world. To understand the world at the scale of a bug, a team of scientists decided to see like one. By studying the way insects' eyes and head movements, they created a tiny robotic camera to ride on a beetle's back. In a study published Wednesday in Science Robotics, researchers explain how their work tests the limits of miniature cameras. Essentially a GoPro for beetles, the device is a fully wireless, power autonomous, mechanically steerable vision system. The researchers write, the camera sits atop a robotic arm that can move up to 60 degrees and capture panoramic shots or track moving objects. So as usual, I'm here to give the kids advice on future career paths. You know what? You've been growing up dreaming of becoming a beetle camera operator, but sorry kids, the robots are taking over that job too. No, I don't know. This is a little spy bugs, man.
Spy bugs, and the picture here looks like I don't know why, but it reminds me of the back of the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
It is just sort of a crazy hodgepodge of.
They can put a cap on it, or make it a little more.
They need to get Elon Musk or Tim Cook or somebody to get their aesthetic designers to make it look a little bit more sleek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty crazy though. I will say it's a pretty big beetle. So we're not necessarily talking about nanotech here, but we do got to watch out for beetles. Another reason to keep beetles out of your house.
Yeah. And just to move it along here, a while ago, you got really stuck on this conspiracy theory joke, but some people believe it's a true conspiracy
it's
about
not a
birds.
Joke.
About birds aren't real, that birds are all birds were killed or taken away by the government in
1977. Nixon destroyed all the birds and replaced them with spy drones.
Yes, well, apparently they're out of work or they're just tired of being birds. There's a video footage of somebody that shared this. This particular video has been shared 7.3 million times or viewed 7.3 million times. It's a video of, when you walk around like college campuses and you have like a job, like a job listing
job
or some
posting
kind of
or a tutoring poster
thing.
Or something. And they cut little slits and each of the slit has a phone number on it. You rip off the bottom.
Rip off the bottom. You can contact them later. Well, this one says, tired of being a bird. And this person posts it low on the pole there, and then a few birds come over and start taking
pigeons took all of the phone numbers. They are tired of being a bird, apparently. R.I.P. Epstein, aka Lil Mossad, in the chat says they aren't real guns. Take the foul pill.
The foul pill.
Yeah,
I like
wake
that.
up.
Yeah.
Wake up, sheeple.
You can tell. Look at the eyes on this one. Totally NWO. I mean, you can just tell.
Yes, the lizard eye morphing. Okay, so let's jump into some updates here, Gons. Let's start out.
We interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's right. We're going to start out over at dailymail.co.uk, and the headline paragraph is exclusive. Ghislaine Maxwell paid $25,000 to fake news purveyor Jacob Wohl to smear Epstein victims and to get prosecutor Jeffrey Berman fired in an attempt to stall sex trafficking investigation against her. End headline.
Super. Six line headline.
It's crazy. They must have figured something out. It must work.
It must be a keyword thing.
Yeah. Daily
I don't like where that's headed, though.
What's that?
I don't like where that's headed. We're going to have entire books as headlines.
I know. That's what it is. It's just all going to be headlines. Well, that's the thing. They figure, you know what? So many people just read the headline. They might as well put as much of the story into the headline as possible.
That's true. Yeah. Not a bad plan.
Yeah, they're just working with what we got. Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell hired fake news purveyor Jacob Wohl. Do you know this Jacob Wohl fella?
I do.
You do. What else
well,
is
I don't
he?
know him personally, but I know he had been messing around with some some people that are in the truth type of space. I'll mention it later. But go ahead.
I kind of had remembered that name and I could not place exactly where. Anyways, Ghislaine Maxwell hired fake news purveyor Jacob Wohl to smear her and Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims, a former friend has told DailyMail.com in an exclusive interview. As part of a $25,000 deal made in June, Wohl and his lobbyist's colleague Jack Berkman also allegedly pushed to get New York U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman, who had led Epstein's case, fired in order to stall or stop the criminal investigation into Maxwell. Wohl and Berkman are far-right lobbyists who have become a laughingstock in D.C. after several failed attempts to smear top political figures, including Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Ted Cruz, Robert Mueller, and Dr. Anthony Fauci by paying women to make false claims of sordid affairs and drug dealing. One of the women they tried to use for their smear plots, Maryland model and paralegal Kristen Spielman, told DailyMail.com the men had been hired by Maxwell, who currently faces trial over charges she and Epstein trafficked underage girls for sex. Spielman, 36, said the lobbyists bragged to her they had been hired in early June for $25,000 to dig up dirt on Maxwell's alleged sex trafficking victims and to get Berman fired using Berkman's supposed influence with Attorney General William Barr. Berman ultimately stepped down after a push from Barr, but less than 2 weeks later, Maxwell was charged on July 2nd as being a part of Epstein's sex trafficking ring and taken into custody. And then they've got some pictures there. This Wohl fella looks like, I guess he's 22. Yeah, okay. They mention it later. And I thought it was interesting. This woman that they were using to allege malfeasance, she's described as here's the caption of one of the pictures. One of the models Wohl tried to use for his Berkman smear plots, Maryland paralegal Kristen Spielman. So she's a model and a paralegal. She is either not a very good model or not a very good paralegal to need to. She's living a very interesting dual life there. All right. When contacted for comment, Wohl told the Daily Mail that Maxwell deserves representation. Quote, every person, even those accused of the most odious of crimes, deserves representation and possesses the right to engage lobbyists to petition the government on their behalf, the 22-year-old said. This guy's 22. Oh my gosh. That makes me feel old. Otherwise, we cannot comment on client matters. Berkman similarly told DailyMail.com, all persons accused of crimes, however terrible, have the right to representation and representation in the court of public opinion. DailyMail.com has contacted Maxwell's lawyers for comment. Federal documents filed this month show a company linked to Maxwell had hired Wohl and Berkman to lobby on issues related to U.S. DOJ, Senate Judiciary, House Judiciary. DailyMail.com can exclusively reveal. A form filed by the U.S. Senate by Berkman's company, J.M. Berkman and Associates, on July 3rd under the Lobbying Disclosure Act shows Wohl and Berkman were hired by Granite Realty LLC, a frequent misspelling of Granite Reality, the company linked to Maxwell. Then they explain for a few paragraphs here about the difference between Granite Realty and Granite Reality. Granite Reality LLC was the company that Maxwell used to purchase the $1 million home she was found hiding out in. So skipping down a little bit, Spielman claimed Berkman bragged to her that he was really good friends with Barr and had persuaded him to fire Berman. On June 19th, Barr did release a statement saying Berman would step down, though Trump had reportedly been considering removing the prosecutor for 2 years. Berman at first refused to resign and then later capitulated when his deputy was announced as the new acting U.S. attorney for Southern District of New York. There is no evidence that Wohl or Berkman had any role in Berman's firing. There is also no evidence that Berkman and Barr have a close relationship. Quote, the second part of their job was to discredit the alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein and her, Spielman said. Quote, I believe those girls. I felt like they were telling the truth and they were real victims. I was disgusted with the things Wohl and Berkman were telling me. They were saying really bad things about them. Like the one girl who said she got pregnant by Epstein and they made her get an abortion. Jacob said no. Her boyfriend got her pregnant and then she demanded money. It was just a lot of stuff that made them look bad. Quote, that's their job now, to discredit these victims, hopefully, so that the charges go away or Maxwell wins. The lobbyist allegedly told Spielman their smear targets included Epstein accusers Virginia Giuffre, Sarah Ransom, and Courtney Wild, the model said. Spielman claimed Wohl and Berkman revealed their plot with Maxwell during a night of partying at Berkman's Arlington, Virginia home on July 11th. The part-time model said the two men had already spent months trying to get her involved with their smear campaigns. Then there's a lot of pictures. Spielman and Berkman first called her last September, asking her to be part of a purported reality TV show that he and Wohl were producing, which involved playing innocent pranks on celebrities and politicians. After wining and dining the model at DC hotel bars and restaurants, as well as dangling the prospect of a $300,000 paycheck for her role, the two lobbyists revealed their real plans, she said. Quote, at the third meeting, they totally switched things, Spielman told DailyMail.com. They said they wanted me to say I was selling Percocet to Nancy Pelosi. Oh, wow. I was pretty shocked because that's a big leap from what they had sold me on. I don't want to have that sort of reputation. I'm a paralegal. I was worried about defamation suits. I was like, look, guys, I can't do that. The model said the fake news peddlers agreed to change their plans, but at the next meeting in October, Spielman said they presented her with a statement to sign claiming she had steamy sex with married Senator Ted Cruz. Spielman claimed Wohl and Berkman asked her to read the bogus statement at a press conference scheduled the next day. Quote, I received a text directing me to a lavish fourth floor suite. The statement said inside was Senator Cruz clad in only boxers. After a few old fashions, I was a willing participant in a night of steamy sex. Despite his ugly face and overweight physique, I could not resist the opportunity to be with a United States senator. I was paid $2,700 for the evening. On November 30th, 2019, I received an angry call from Heidi Cruz, the senator's banker wife. She told me that I would be exposed if I ever saw her husband again. Undeterred, I met again with Senator Cruz on January 4th. This time he flew me to Austin. So let's see here. This article kind of goes on and on, more relaying more of the details of this fake news plot that did accomplish one of its goals, but $25,000 does not seem like enough money to.
Well, plus they can't get their date straight because it says that what date was it when they saw, or allegedly when she saw him, or part of the plot was in September, and then on November 30th, 2019, the call came from Heidi Cruz, and then I met again with Senator Cruz on January 4th, 2019. So 11 months earlier.
Yeah. Well,
they met again.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't even get the dates right.
That was all the fake statement that they wanted.
I know. I'm just saying they can't even get their fake statements to be consistent.
Yeah, sure. So there you go. Yeah, they're obviously drunk. First of all, they're not the smartest guys, because $25,000 to put yourself in that kind of risk is completely undervalued, I say. So yeah, there you go. So these guys were caught being paid to try to smear the enemies of Ghislaine Maxwell, and apparently it did not work out very well.
Well, I think part of the story here that we only briefly touch on because there are other researchers doing a better job with it is the whole connection to Mossad here. Mm-hmm. And well, as soon as I said that, I think the live stream went down.
No, classic.
Yeah. And one of the people that Jacob Wohl went after was Adam Green over at No More News. And Adam tweeted this out, I think yesterday. Jacob Wohl framed me as the Comet Pizza Pizzagate arsonist, then worked with his friends in an attempt to get me banned from Twitter. And I remember this happening. There was some sketchy video footage of the Pizzagate arsonist of Comet Pizza or Comet Ping Pong. And, it was some white guy with a beard, and Jacob Wohl was like, this is a guy. It was Adam Green from No More News. It was him. And, some people picked it up, but other people were like, that doesn't even look like him at all.
Right.
And he had to kind of defend himself, but that's the kind of stuff that Jacob Wohl is out there doing. So, the rabbit hole goes pretty deep when it comes to this stuff. And again, the connections to Mossad and, there's other guys involved with the whole Mossad connection, Cernovich, who blocked me early on, and there's a few others, and it's all kind of tied in, and they all sort of defend certain people involved with the whole Epstein case, and it's just very weird because they're against all this pedophilia and child trafficking, but there's still good guys in there or whatever. That's what they say,
right?
And they point to the Epstein lawyer. It's all kind of a big mess, and I'm not going to really try to explain all of it here. I'll leave links. But No More News with Adam Green is one resource you can go to learn more about, their connection to the Mossad angle of this whole thing. And, for people that don't think Mossad is, bad, it's kind of like the Central Intelligence of Israel there.
Yeah. It's the CIA
there's an article,
Israel.
Yeah. There was an article from Haaretz, back in, I think this is 2018. Yeah, March of 2018. And the headline is, ex-spy chief says, fun part about Mossad is that it's a crime organization. Netanyahu is not amused. And so, ex-Mossad people coming out and saying like, hey, these guys are criminal. Not something that's just made up in the fringe conspiracy world. This is stuff that's already out there. So just things to keep in mind. One could
argue that, intelligence agencies of every nation,
exactly,
break all sorts of laws all the time, or at least are not held to the same accountability. So, what was I going to say? I forget. But there you go. There's a little update. Again, $25,000. That's seems a little cheap for putting yourself at such risk. But hey, he's 22. That was more than I was making when I was 22.
Yeah, I wonder how much he is making, spinning all this disinfo out there. Because he's labeled, he comes, and that's the thing about the whole Mossad intel program here, is that they pose as conservatives. And they really, that's the most alarming part about the Trump campaign or the Trump party, so to speak, is that it's there's a lot of help that it seems like he got from Israel, and we can get into chaos magic. We've gotten into some of that stuff before, but we should move on because these are supposed to be quick updates.
Let's do it. Okay, this one it goes hand in hand here a little bit.
Let's see. I actually have a story associated with this. This is on Bakersfield.com, but it was originally posted on AP. Twitter to crack down on QAnon as movement's influence grows. Or actually, it was on Bloomberg. I'm sorry. It says here, Twitter will ban thousands of accounts associated with the QAnon conspiracy theory movement, which claims there's a deep state plot against President Donald Trump, the latest battlefront in the social media company's campaign against disinformation. The social media company said it will permanently suspend accounts tweeting about topics that it knows are violating Twitter policy and coordinating abuses around individual victims or attempting to evade suspensions. Twitter will also ensure it is not highlighting QAnon activity by keeping such posts out of trends and recommendation sections, as well as blocking URLs associated with the movement. Twitter didn't say how many accounts would be affected. NBC separately reported that about 150,000 accounts would be impacted, and so far more than 7,000 QAnon accounts have been taken down in the last couple of weeks, citing an unnamed Twitter spokesman. And if you're looking at the screen, you can see the Twitter safety tweet that went out here. They tweeted out, "We've been clear that we will take strong enforcement against enforcement action on behalf." Okay, let me try that again. We've been clear that we will take strong enforcement action on behavior that has the potential to lead to offline harm, which is ridiculous because, I'm not trying to defend QAnon, but at the same time, you got all these BLM stuff with people actually protesting and looting and all this stuff. That's not offline harm. But anyway, in line with this approach, this week, we are taking further action on so-called QAnon activity across the service. So there you go. They're taking down QAnon. What do you think?
Will only serve to bolster the movement.
And that's the thing that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, they should know it by now. Every time that they censor something, it's just going to grow and give credence to it.
It's exactly what they want. It's like, oh, they banned us. Now you know it's true. Now you know we're legit. It's a weird double type of thing happening here. I guess I skipped a story about, or an update from Trump.
All right, we can do it real quick.
We'll do it real quick. So Trump talked about Ghislaine Maxwell here. Let me just play the clip. It's about a minute long.
Then if it spends by the time you get it back, it's 3 or 4 days if they do an efficient job. We're trying to get the testing on site.
Thank you.
I like it the best.
And my follow-up, my second question, it's a little bit different topic, but it's one that a lot of people are talking about. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Mr. President.
So there you go.
Jeez. Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, right. Nope. Never heard of it. No,
never heard of it.
I don't know
I
what
wish her
flight
well.
logs I'm on. Oh, no, I don't even know what a flight log is. Never been on one. Wouldn't know. I wish her well, though.
Yeah,
what a joke.
That should be, I don't know. I was joking
he's
with
probably well, you know what he's trying not to do is give her a reason to name him in anything.
Yeah, true. That could be true. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say was, according to Q, this is like 33-degree chess. You know, You know how they say it's 5D chess. It's gone all the way up to 33 degrees, in my opinion.
Wow. So okay. So there's our 33 update.
It's deep. It's deep, Basil.
So deep.
It goes deep. Okay.
Okay, just a couple of little drone updates. One of them, I'm gonna go from local21news.com. Just a little something, just keeping our eyes on the drones here. A Pennsylvania company believes it has the solution to get fans back in the stands come fall. Aris Fog Company has developed a drone with enough power to sanitize entire stadiums in 3 hours. Given even getting close to those tough to reach spots like handles and underneath seats. If, quote, if this wasn't going to be something that's going away in a short period of time, there's needs to be a solution to get people back to the things they enjoy doing. The most vague and weird statement I've ever heard. Aris Fog co-founders Nick Brucker and Justin Melanson may have the solution: a 50-pound MG-1S drone with the ability to spray disinfectant up to 20 acres an hour and have people occupying the sanitized space within 3 minutes. Quote, there's no room for error, like human error. Could be an issue where somebody might miss something. The drone isn't going to miss anything, said Melanson. The drone is similar to those used for fertilizing crop fields. It's totally autonomous and uses electrostatic technology, charging the disinfectant as it passes through the spray tubes. Areas Fog says that gives the disinfectant enough sticking power to fully coat surfaces and hit hard to hit areas like bottoms of seat and handles. Quote, it has a flight path and does its own thing. When it runs low on fluid, it will alert me and come back and land. I'll put more fluid in it. It flies right back out there. It stopped spraying and starts spraying again. So anyways, they're just, they're taking the long-loved chemtrail technology and putting it down into little bite-sized, little party-sized chemtrails that they can use to disinfect large stadiums. So there you go, little mini chemtrails for everybody. Keep an eye out for that if you want to get
Well,
back to watching.
I was going to say that Obama was right.
Drone strikes have saved lives.
Can we shoot them down if over our property?
Drones.
And one more little drone update here. This is from nationalinterest.org. China's drones are doing a little bit of spy work over the Pacific. Ooh. China is now flying a large, long-dwell maritime drone over the Pacific Ocean as part of a transparent effort to increase surveillance in the region and adapt unmanned systems to ocean conditions. The platform, called the CH-5 drone, recently completed its first flight test, according to a news report in the Chinese government-backed Global Times. The paper describes the drone as a medium to high-altitude drone system engineered to, quote, cope with complicated and dynamic oceanic conditions. The maritime CH-5 variant, an adaptation of China's existing armed CH-5 reconnaissance drone, also tested several new radar and payload systems in the demonstration, to include electro-optical, infrared sensors, and wide-region radars. Interestingly, the standard CH-5 variant is an armed drone with a fully autonomous flight control system, jam-proof data chain, and all-weather payload, the Global Times story explained. And it goes on, but more or less, we've got China making moves in the Pacific, trying to, extend their surveillance state to keep an eye on all the fishies and whales and any pesky U.S. military boats and planes that might be wandering around.
Yeah, and this launches us into some of the main topics of the day.
Woo! Welcome to Chinese News!
This was published back on the 14th, and I have it here on MSN.com. It's a republishing from Cleveland.com. It's titled Rep. Anthony Gonzalez Seeks Confucius Institute Crackdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, Washington, D.C., freshman Congressman Anthony Gonzalez on Tuesday joined a growing number of legislators who are questioning the wisdom of Chinese government-funded cultural and language exchange programs at American universities that critics decry as propaganda outfits. The program, called Confucius Institutes, after the famous Chinese philosopher, are intended to promote cultural studies of China on U.S. campuses, but a report released last year by an investigative subcommittee chaired by Ohio GOP Senator Rob Portman found the Chinese government controls, quote, nearly every aspect of their operations in U.S. schools, including veto authority over events and speakers. Legislation that Gonzalez, a Rocky River Republican, on Tuesday introduced with Florida Democrat Republican Donna Shalala, a Cleveland native who served as Health and Human Services Secretary during the Clinton administration, would give U.S. universities that host Confucius Institutes full control over what they teach, the activities they carry out, the research grants they give, and the individuals they employ. It would also bar applications of any foreign law on campuses that host the institutes, and would eliminate federal government funding for U.S. hosts of Confucius Institutes that don't comply with the law. Ohio universities with Confucius Institutes include Cleveland State University, University of Akron, Miami University of Ohio, and University of Toledo, according to a 2017 National Association of Scholars report that criticized the institutes. Shalala noted that the Chinese government suppresses freedom of speech, academic freedom, and other democratic values. Quote, as an educator, I understand the importance of academic independence and integrity in our institutions of higher learning, but through Confucius Institutes, the Chinese government is often able to coerce schools to follow a pro-Chinese Communist Party approach, said a statement from Shalala, who formerly served as president of University of Miami. Quote, the Confucius Act will support important cultural exchange with China while strongly protecting the values of American public higher education that have made it the envy of the world. The statement from Gonzalez said China's Communist Party, quote, has used these institutes to promote a pro-China image while actively working to steal American research and innovation and coerce our colleges and universities. It is time we hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for their actions and work to protect American institutions of higher learning. In May, former Cleveland Clinic researcher King Huang was charged with fraud for failing to disclose his ties to Chinese universities and its government when he applied for more than $3.6 million in National Institute of Health grants. Last week on Ohio State University, rheumatology professor and researcher was charged with grant fraud for not disclosing his commitments to China when he got $4.1 million in NIH grants and for using his U.S. research to benefit China. The Ohio State researcher Song Guo Zheng, 57, was arrested after he arrived in Anchorage, Alaska, aboard a charter flight as he prepared to board another charter flight to China. When he was arrested, he was carrying 3 large bags, 1 small suitcase, and a briefcase containing 2 laptops, 3 cellular telephones, several USB drives, several silver bars, expired Chinese passports for his family, deeds for property in China, and other items, the U.S. Department said. A bill authorized by Gonzalez to fight academic espionage became law last year when it was included in the National Defense Authorization Act. His Securing American Science and Technology Act of 2019 requires the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy to establish an interagency working group of science, intelligence, and security agencies to address the security needs of agencies and federal grant recipients. The bill Gonzalez and Shalala introduced Tuesday passed the U.S. Senate last month by a unanimous vote. So we're hearing about this now, and there's not a whole lot, obviously, out there in the news and stuff about it because most news outlets are compromised, likely, by the Chinese Communist Party. But it's something to keep in mind here, and it goes right along the next story we have. But before we get to it, I found a document here, Confucius Institutes in the United States, July 2020, by Rochelle Peterson of the National Association of Scholars. And again, the link is in the description of canarycrynewstalk.com once the episode is published. But a lot of universities here, and the date they started the programs: Troy University back in 2007, Alabama A&M University back in 2014. I'm not going to go through all of them here, but University of Arizona started it in 2007. They're actually closing their affiliation in July 30th. So in a couple weeks, they're shutting it down. University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. That's a big one, at least around my neck of the woods. 2010, University of California, Davis, San Diego Global Knowledge University, Stanford University, big time. University of California, Santa Barbara, big time school for partying and surfing. But yeah, it goes on and on.
Take a look at the list there. It is quite long, and I believe it includes international schools. But
I think it includes the associations, the Chinese Partner Institute.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think you're right. I think it does involve some.
I saw some
schools, but most of them are
schools there.
Okay.
But just to review, to put into simple words for those who might not have been following the Confucius Institute story or exactly what it is. Basically, what happens is the Confucius Institute is, an organization obviously owned by the Chinese Communist Party. They've recently sort of moved around ownership and created an additional governmental agency they are calling it a non-governmental agency, but still created and run by CCP members. But what they would do is they would approach, colleges, universities, things like that. They would offer Chinese curriculum, like, Chinese language classes, business classes, things like that. And all of the materials, what's the word called? The curriculum. All the curriculum is created by the Chinese government, and they actually pay the professors and administration costs to run these little mini Chinese institutes within U.S. Universities and colleges, which is a great, it's a great thing for these colleges because they get to offer a wide range of classes that doesn't cost them anything. They didn't have to write the curriculum or buy the curriculum. And the Chinese government is paying the professors. So they don't have to pay the professors to teach the classes. But they get to, offer these internationally, important classes for students who want to learn more about China, how to speak Chinese languages, and how to do business in China. And so, a lot of schools hopped on board. They said, yeah, shoot, you're going to pay for it? Great. And in fact, you're going to pay us? Okay, sounds even better. Come on in, Confucius Institute. And then what we're finding is that the Confucius Institute was actually used as an espionage organization, A, for some cultural infiltration, and B, to operate Chinese espionage, both in the academic realms as well as the scientific and research realms. And that's where a lot of the Chinese spying was happening, based out of these Confucius Institutes. And recently, a lot of Confucius Institutes are being shut down. They're being kicked out by their organizations. And that's being helped along by the FBI's ongoing, terrorism investigations in connection with Chinese espionage. But this has been going on for decades,
Yeah. Yep. And this is probably just one of so many different ways that China has infiltrated the United States that it's hard to say that this is, the only thing that's been going on in terms of espionage and infiltration. But this is definitely a big one because, influencing the university student is how you define culture. It's how you can get certain ideas trending in culture.
Yeah, well, that's why you have all these young people who are so enthusiastic about communism, and it's obvious they don't know much about it, but, they've had these Confucius Institutes in their colleges for decades. And as in the words of the Chinese representative we read last week, socialism with Chinese characteristics is what they like to call it.
You mean totalitarianism?
Yes, so communist tyranny.
Yeah. So I think it's a bigger story than people. Again, it would be the biggest if this was, I don't know, 1960s or something, maybe 50s, 60s. This would be the biggest story. I don't even think this can happen actually back in I don't know, 60, 70 years ago. But here we are.
Yeah, it's wild. And, it's completely wild. And it's been a long game. It's the long game of the CCP where they have, it's hard for us to imagine. And it's a worldview issue where in America, most of us are at most looking 4 years ahead. Who's the next president going to be, and will I be happy about it or not? And, the United States government, for the most part, is living in the present, just trying to keep the American way of life alive, whatever that means for the current administration. But China, admittedly, has a 1,000-year plan for the nation of China. So they plan way far ahead. And so the 50, 60 years that these Confucius Institutes have been infiltrating our academia, that's just step one for these guys. But it's nice to see that people are waking up to it.
Before you get into that, the whole idea of, how Eastern, yoga and stuff, a lot of meditation, that kind of stuff became really popular out here in the West.
Right.
And, that's been a longer, not just the communist Chinese government infiltrating the United States, but it's just interesting. You mentioned how we're so concerned about, what we're dealing with right now. And part of like the whole meditation process, just be in the now.
Sure.
But it's so convenient that like being in the now allows you to totally not pay attention to history at
exactly.
all.
Yeah.
And just allows for this kind of stuff to enter in and in droves.
That's a great point. Yeah. It's absolutely a great point. And it's kind of, it comes up a lot in the conversation of capitalism versus communism. I don't know. I could go on a whole diatribe with that. I've been having a lot of conversations recently regarding the sort of young people's philosophical ideas about communism versus, and obviously capitalism is the bad guy. But if you just look at history, that's exactly the opposite.
I can relate to that sentiment too, because I remember even when I was very young, I was like down with the government, I was like 13 and the type of music and the different types of anti-government stuff that was out there was like pro-communist, pro-socialist type of stuff. So it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Down with the government, trying to rule us, pro whatever, Shay or whatever.
It's easy to get there if you just don't really pay a lot of attention. And
exactly.
We were talking about this the other day, and so first of all, capitalism has done more to pull people out of poverty across the entire world, not just America, than any other system that's ever existed. And you got to give it credit for that. Are there big problems? Whoa.
What was that?
I don't know. I can't see what's going on around me, but apparently my cat destroyed some stack of papers or something. I'll deal with that later. Where was I? So obviously there's big problems with capitalism that need to be sort of worked out. And, the problems with communism are myriad and obvious. Where was I going with this? Oh, dang. I had some big cool point, but
your cat distracted you.
Yeah, something crashed and I forgot.
Maybe it'll come back in the next story.
Yeah. Related. It was in the context of talking about the $6 trillion that allegedly is going to bring America out of the impending depression or recession. They're just printing $6 trillion and handing it out mostly to big corporations. And, you do the math, you could pay every man, woman, and child, every infant in the United States, $1,000 a week for 3 years. If we're just talking about the context of getting people through coronavirus, whatever, for 3 years, every man, woman, and child could get $1,000 a week for 3 years, and it's like 45 billion. It's like not even that much. Like that's how much. That's half of what Jeff Bezos made so far in 2020. And that would be, you're edging on a socialistic, communistic idea where just give everybody money every single week and we'll make it through. But the problem is that nobody works at that point. If everybody has all the money they want, nobody works. Not nobody, but there's no reason to have a sucky job at 7-Eleven or be a server or something. And so then, everybody gets $1,000 a week, but there's nobody serving you at restaurants. Nobody's manning the counter at 7-Eleven. Society. Yeah, well, exactly. You have to have the robot, job takeover to even think about, just giving the amount of money away that would take to get people through this. Anyways,
and somebody in the chat mentioned and scrolled by, I can't remember the name there. Sorry about that. I think it was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make the same point, which was you mentioned how capitalism has done more, to help out the world, different societies. Free market capitalism has done that. The crony capitalism that exists now is leaning. It's capitalism, but it's more socialistic in nature. Yeah. There's a lot of again, if you're closer to the top, that's what China does too.
Crony capitalism is where $6 trillion gets printed and it all goes to humongous corporations that are closely tied with the government. That's crony capitalism.
And that's kind of how China operates too. I know they're different because they're a one-party, system, but the big companies, Tencent, Alibaba, those guys are very, very in with the government, but it doesn't look like, to someone that's not really paying attention or not using the microscope there, it does look like, oh, these are just corporations out of China operating and
Sure.
Look, it's all fine, but in actuality, they're in bed with the Chinese government there. So
for all intents and purposes, they're operatives of the Chinese Communist Party. Speaking of which, we got to move on.
Welcome to Chinese News!
There we go. Some more Chinese news here. This was one of the big ones that happened over the past couple days. I've got a couple of articles here, and I will try to weave them in a masterful fashion. So we're going to start out at CNBC.com. The headline is titled, State Department Orders China to Close Consulate in Houston. China Vows Retaliation. The State Department confirmed on Wednesday the U.S. has ordered China to close its consulate in Houston, prompting Beijing to insist on firm countermeasures unless Washington immediately reverses its decision. The move is an escalation. Oh my gosh, this cat is... just bringing down the system here. The move is an escalation of political tension between the world's two largest economies. State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus said the directive to close China's Consulate General Houston was made to protect... Whoa, gosh. Typo alert. Let me try to get through this again. State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus said the directive to close China's Consulate General Houston was made to protect American intellectual property and the private information of its citizens. The Vienna Convention says diplomats must, quote, respect the laws and regulations of the receiving state and, quote, have a duty not to interfere in the internal affairs of the state, Ortagus continued. Which is a nice idea, but of course, consulates are basically headquarters for international spying operations on all sides. She added that Washington would not tolerate the People's Republic of China's violations of U.S. sovereignty and intimidation of our people, just as we have not tolerated the PRC's unfair trade practices, theft of American jobs, and other egregious behavior. China condemned the Wow, having some voice trouble today. China condemned the decision, warning of firm countermeasures if the U.S. fails to urgently rescind the order. Quote, the unilateral closure of China's Consulate General in Houston within a short period of time is an unprecedented escalation of its recent actions against China, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said at a daily news briefing that Associated Press reported. Washington has given China 3 days to close the consulate in the fourth largest U.S. city, China's foreign ministry spokesperson said. Alongside the embassy in Beijing, the U.S. has 5 consulates in mainland China, according to its website, in Chengdu, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Shenyang, and Wuhan, where the coronavirus pandemic started. A possible closure of the Wuhan consulate would complicate efforts to share information about the virus. And this is where it gets exciting, Gons. Reports of a fire. KPRC, an NBC News affiliate in Houston, obtained video footage on Tuesday from a resident near China's consulate that appeared to show a small fire burning in the courtyard of the building. This is great. Just a guy with a drone was spying on the Chinese.
Yeah.
I love this. Houston Assistant Fire Chief Rui Lozano confirmed to NBC that the department responded to a fire in the courtyard at 34 Montrose Boulevard at the Chinese consulate at 8:20 p.m. local time on Tuesday. Crews that arrived reported no visible flames or smoke, Lozano said. Fire crews were denied access to the building because access to the property can only be obtained with consent, according to an international agreement. Lozano said fire crews remained outside the structure of the building until it was confirmed that there is no fire threat to occupants in the surrounding community. He referred to questions to the State Department regarding whether or not documents were being burned. And if I don't know if you're playing the video or not, but for those who can't see, it is very clearly, trash cans with fire in them, and you can very clearly see people throwing documents into these burning trash cans. So they were they're obviously purging documents, so the U.S. intelligence agencies can't get a hold of them. Let's see, moving down. How did we get here? I think we can skip the how did we get here. We've been following the issues with China for a while. But then let's hop over to this other article, express.co.uk, which is the most frantic looking and annoying website to go to, but we'll try to plug through here. China to inflict real pain on unexpected U.S. target. Huge warnings over consulate closure. Consulate row. The remarks come from, tiny font, let's make it bigger. The remarks come from Hu Zhijin, editor-in-chief of Chinese and English editions of the Global Times, a newspaper which is often an outlet for the Chinese Communist Party. It comes after Washington announced the closure of the Chinese consulate in the U.S. city today as relations continue to disintegrate. Following the closure of the consulate in Houston, China has also threatened to strike back by expelling U.S. diplomats from their own embassy in Wuhan, the region which witnessed the initial outbreak of the coronavirus. Commenting on the threat, editor of the Chinese Times, Hu Zhijin, claimed Beijing's response will be much more severe. He said today, quote, the U.S. has made some preparations for withdrawal from Consulate General in Wuhan. Washington must hope that China will retaliate by closing this consulate, which is a small price for the U.S. I think China's target will be more likely unexpected, causing the U.S. to feel real pain. So this is funny. In response to closing down the Houston consulate, the Americans in Wuhan just started packing up. They're like, okay, they're going to don't even bother with shutting us down. We'll just leave.
Yeah.
But this editor made a great point, which is, well, if the Americans are willing to give up the Wuhan consulate, then we know it's not going to hurt them. We need to find another way to hurt them. The article continues, as relations between China and the U.S. continue to worsen, Washington termed the closure of the consulate as a move to protect American intellectual property. The alleged threat of intellectual property and information in the U.S. was heightened as the Justice Department indicted 2 Chinese nationals on Tuesday. Oh, they got a couple more. The U.S. did so on alleged charges of a decade of cyber espionage against American companies. On Tuesday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo reiterated the strong rhetoric against Beijing on a trip to Denmark. He's going to Denmark to throw some shade at China. He said, President Trump has said enough. We are not going to allow this to continue to happen. That's the actions that you're seeing taken by President Trump. Will continue to engage in this. Along with the U.S., the U.K. has seen its own relations with China deteriorate in unparalleled levels due to the imposition of the new security law in Hong Kong. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab announced the end of the extradition treaty with the state, which I got to give the UK some props for, becoming basically a safe haven for Chinese political refugees. That's a often not thought about. I would even almost call it a moral responsibility for, the free West, if you want to call it that, to provide a place for communist Chinese to escape. I'm sorry, the anti-communist Chinese people to escape. However, of course, as is pointed out, that does open up the opportunity for infiltration. Let's see, they talk about the UK some more. Yep. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So there we go. We've got threats of real pain on an unexpected U.S. target. This will be interesting because, closing down consulates is one thing, but anything other than that could be considered a little bit more of an act of war.
Okay, so
sounds like I lost Gons.
Apparently, the cat got to the
here. I wonder if that's
internet signal over there. He's frozen
issue.
On all of my.
But if we're
my
disconnected
here
from
for
him, I must be disconnected from the whole thing.
Are you back? No. He's glitching out.
Good.
The truth is getting out. He is a machine that I have created.
Check 2.
All right. Until we can get Basil moving again. Yeah, the point here being that the tensions here rising between China and the U.S. and part of it being the reason why we named this episode Cold War II is because it's been ongoing. This Cold War situation has been heating up. Interesting choice of words there for me, but yeah, it's been getting worse and worse, and now we're starting to see actual collateral types of events. Hopefully not damage and, more, I guess, direct type of hits from China. I think China has been involved with a lot of the BLM movements and things of that nature to infiltrate the United States already. So in that way, I feel like they have already put America in a tailspin, and a lot of the political divisions that we have now are based on. Oh, you're back. Yeah, you're back. I don't know what happened. You froze up. You were talking too much about China. I think they froze your microchip. They're we must shut him down.
Well, that's definitely a possibility. Of course, we know Bezos. He's got nothing better to do with all that money than to mess with our connection. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I wouldn't. You know what, Gons? They're not going to allow me to take my vacation in China. I missed my chance from talking all this.
You missed your chance.
Yeah,
to go see the Great Wall.
Yeah, but it's fun wall. When I get disconnected from you on Skype. I get to watch how you handle it on the stream. I was watching the stream. Okay. So,
I should have started doing a handstand and
just know that I can still tune in and keep an eye on you.
That's all right.
So I don't know exactly when I got disconnected there, but more or less, China will be looking for ways to inflict some real pain on the U.S. and not take the abandoning of the Wuhan consulate as the price to pay. They must really like Houston, man. The Chinese must love Houston because they are so mad about it.
Well, yeah, it's interesting too, just in the context of this last year, the general manager, I think, of the Houston Rockets said some things about Hong Kong or China or something last year at the beginning of the NBA season. And that caused a huge uproar, and they had to shut down events and stuff because there was a handful of NBA teams in China during the preseason. And I remember all that being a big issue. Mm-hmm. So, there's probably already some tension there, but interesting that this is all happening. And I was just talking about how, the episode is named Cold War II because of this West versus East type of narrative, and how China had already infiltrated, like we talked about, in universities and stuff. But even through the race wars, a lot of the race war stuff could be, helped along by China and their control of the media and things like that. So this might be the first, hopefully praying that it won't get to that point, but it might be a type of situation where we start seeing actual direct hits from China, instead of like a covert type of operation, trying to get us to divide, which they have certainly done, I think, in many different ways. It'll be much more of an open type of situation, in which case, I'm not too worried because, Trump's got his missiles in a row,
I call it the super duper missile. Incredible.
So I think we're good. We won't be in too much trouble. If China tries to do something, we got the super duper missile to hit him back.
17 Mach, what did they say? Mach 17.
Light speed. I want to hear him say light speed. It has light speed.
He said close when he was making that announcement. I think he said the missiles could go close to light speed.
Jeez.
I could be just making that up in my head, but I remember something about that.
It's faster than the Millennium Falcon. Okay. This next story is part of this whole thing with China, although maybe not directly, but I think this is it goes along the same lines here.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This was published by New York Post. Ex-Google engineer says glitch may have exposed conservative blacklist. And we know Google. Google, you're in with the Chiners.
Google, so big, so beautiful.
Google said it has fixed a bug that led to several conservative websites disappearing from its search results on Tuesday.
Oh my goodness, what a bug.
But a former engineer for the tech giant said the glitch may have inadvertently exposed an internal list that targeted certain news outlets. Quote, it appears to have revealed the existence of another blacklist that disproportionately targets conservatives, Mike Wacker said in a message to the website Mediate. Quote, the glitch is that sites on this blacklist disappeared from Google search results, but the existence of the list is very much by design. And that raises a major question. Why was this blacklist created in the first place, and what else is it used for? Wacker questioned. He's going to get whacked. For several hours Tuesday morning and early afternoon, users couldn't access a number of websites on Google search, including Breitbart, the Drudge Report, the Bongino Report, and National Pulse. Occupy Democrats, a left-wing populist website, also vanished, but the New York Times and the Washington Post did not appear to be affected. Quote, today we became aware of an issue that impacted some navigational and site operators' searches. We investigated and have since fixed the bug, Google said in a statement on Twitter. Quote, contrary to some speculation, this did not target particular sites or political ideologies. Today's issues affected sites representing a range of content and different viewpoints. It continued, our ranking systems don't index, rank, or classify content based on political lean, as we've explained in our How Search Works site. End quote. But Dr. Robert Epstein, who has studied Google's influence on elections, agreed with Wacker, which, interestingly enough, Basil, I don't know if you've read a document that we received from Greg over at All About God, but he was citing Dr. Robert Epstein as part of this whole bigger plot.
Yeah,
to not just rout out conservatives, but just Christians, and especially Christians, and a lot of biblically based sites have been pushed way down on the rankings over the last year. So this isn't something that's happened recently. Quote, it's likely that a person or algorithm at Google added Breitbart.com and other URLs to one or more of the company's blacklists, Epstein told Mediate. Then, perhaps after some pushback, someone pulled those URLs off the blacklist. Wacker, who was fired by Google in June 2019 after he wrote an article claiming, quote, outrage, mobs, and witch hunts dominate its culture, said the sites on the blacklist, quote, are being penalized. Quote, and the glitch was that the penalty was accidentally set so high that these sites were effectively removed from Google search, Wacker said. I found that a lot of people tend to conflate algorithms with AI since they're both automated, but AI isn't as objective and mechanical as algorithms are, which is, okay. I mean, I guess
questionable.
That's a questionable way to put it.
The technical concept that they're even talking about is pretty questionable, but we don't have time to get into
that. AIs are basically advanced algorithms, so I don't know why he. Anyway, so there you go. Ex-Google engineer says glitch may have exposed conservative blacklist, and this thing goes way, way, way deeper than conservative blacklists. I would argue it goes into a lot of Christian sites and just anything that doesn't, toe the party line.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of action being taken on this, even from Christian and conservative sites are actually, taking this to court and stuff. So this is a whole thing that's being dealt with. And I don't know, maybe if we get permission, we'll talk more about it later from the sources that we get connected to that. But let's jump into some COVID stuff real quick.
All right.
COVID. Do you want to do your quick little update here?
Yeah, I thought this was interesting that, and this is kind of keeping up with the beat that we've been, just mentioning along the timeline here. But express.co.uk, coronavirus astrology. Astrologers' bizarre claim COVID-19 will disappear quickly. And we know about this year being aligned with a lot of strangeness with the Protestant Reformation. And I think last year, the astrologers were out there saying like, hey, 2020 is going to be this crazy year. In this article, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it gets all like astrologically technical, which is really pointless for us to dig into. Mm-hmm. But it says here, astrology expert Eric Zander has claimed he has used astrology to divine the surprising future of the worldwide coronavirus pandemic. Zander investigated the horoscope of the coronavirus to reveal some discoveries that appear to contradict more scientifically sound COVID-19 research. He wrote, quote, coronavirus was declared with a lot of planets in Capricorn. I see the collective south node, which represents our collective fate, in conjunction with Venus, an air planet of gas, in Capricorn, which is the sign of suffering and material darkness. Capricorn is the 11th astrological house of the collective, which is furthering the syndication of fear and the virus. And again, it gets kind of more technical and detail. And
one of the great things. This is an example of sort of the collection of predictions, quote unquote, this person has. One of them is, what I really see is the disturbance with the collective economy and money. No kidding.
Really?
It took you looking at the planets to divine that there's an issue with that? Okay. So, anyways.
And the conclusion here is, quote, we as a collective have been too lazy to change ourselves. We all know parts of ourselves we don't want to change and people who don't want to change. This reluctance to change, this stubbornness and being too attached to physicality, in addition, ignoring change altogether, needs to be addressed. So let go of unhealthy attachments and know that the material world is not your source.
We already
thank
know
you,
this,
astrologer
buddy.
guy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's funny how they get headlines,
I thought it was funny too. Yeah, that is funny. He got headlines. But also how he's saying it's going to disappear suddenly. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists who could have told you that. You don't need the planets to tell
not
you
even
that.
Conspiracy theorists, just
right.
people.
Yeah.
Scientists too. Wear a mask, it'll go away.
Let's head on over to mysuncoast.com. Okie dokie. We are over here. The article is titled Concerns Arise as Some Receive Positive COVID-19 Results but Never Got Tested. So the story alone is very interesting, and I'm going to get into that. But also keep in mind, this is an ABC channel. This is ABC 7, WWSB. So ABC being a part of the Disney conglomeration, which is owned, I forget it's like 30% owned by the CCP or CCP affiliated companies. I would like it to be 33% owned by the CCP. So we'll just say that.
Yeah.
All right. Coronavirus continues to spread quickly across the state. Plus, now on the Suncoast, although testing has been made more available, many say there are some problems in really getting a handle on how much the virus is in our community. No kidding. It has nothing to do with being able to get tested, but instead the results. The quickest turnaround is about 48 hours, and the majority of the time it can take about a week of finding out if you're infected or not. However, the most recent issue is getting back results that aren't even yours. Quote, I got a call asking for me, and they told me that I had tested positive. I was like, positive for what? Then the lady said, for COVID. And I said, that's impossible. I never got tested, ma'am. Mindy Clark said. Clark had gone to the drive-through testing site at Manatee Rural Health, but before she was able to get swabbed, she left the line because she realized it was for people with symptoms only. Quote, I told them I needed to take this off my record, and they said I had to prove it to them that I wasn't positive, Clark continued. She tested negative just 2 days later and also also tested negative for the antibodies. Plus, according to many of our viewers, this hasn't only happened to her. Clark says if she and many others have been incorrectly identified as positive in the state's system so easily, how accurate are the numbers that are released daily? Quote, this is part of the testing mechanism problem. People are sitting in their cars, sometimes for hours, or standing in line 6 feet apart, sometimes for hours. You're registered, though. You're number 15 in line, and you are Jay Wolfson. If Jay Wolfson says he can't wait any longer and he leaves, it will get number 15 and now get Rebecca Fernandez, who is standing behind him, and she tests positive. And then everyone from then on gets the wrong results. There has to be a better way to do this, explained Dr. Jay Wolfson, public health and medicine professor for the University of South Florida. While all this is happening, the virus continues to spread since the right people are not identified. Quote, it's such a bad time. I feel you.
Really?
It's such a bad time. These last 5 months have been so bad. People don't need these added mistakes. Everyone is already so nervous and trying so hard, and these mistakes are really causing more anxiety in people, Clark expressed. The trust is real, but the disease is more real. Trust the fact that the disease is real. The data may be confusing. The state has to clean up their act, but the disease is real and very concerning. Protect yourself. Be safe out there. Be safe and be well, said Dr. Jay Wolfson. If you've received a test result, but were never actually tested for COVID-19, be sure to call the Florida Department of Health and get it sorted out, making sure those results are removed from your health record and the COVID-19 database. This is very interesting. This article really took me on a roller coaster of analysis. Because first of all, it's ABC, is one of the outlets that is definitively towing the party line, the official storyline of COVID, and they have all interest in perpetuating, the types of things that are being perpetuated. So to see a headline that says concerns arise as some receive positive COVID-19 results but never get tested, that sounds like, a little bit of a veer from the official story, which was actually kind of encouraging. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. They're mixing it up a little bit. And then you find out that it's not necessarily as nefarious as you would expect it to be, but then it ends with this diatribe of trust is real and the disease is more real, and trust the fact that the disease is real and it's all real. I'm so sad. I'm Dr. Jay Wolfson.
Jay Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Or wolf in white coat.
Got him. So yeah, and in the context of kind of what we're talking about with Google and search results and things like that, I think we're going to see more of these sort of questionable headlines coming out from the mainstream area, news outlets, because what it's going to do is it's going to repopulate people searching like, is COVID real? Is COVID testing real? COVID-19 results, wrong or something. People searching for that type of story will then be led to this article, which then gently pushes them back onto the party line once they make it all the way through. So we've got some interesting, web search manipulation, not manipulation in like a blacklist or anything, but manipulation in you make an article headline to draw in the types of people you want to manipulate, and then you pull the old switcheroo on them.
Well, plus, one of the things that it was pointing out was how if one person leaves and gets out of line, then, the next person tests positive, and then everyone after that is, you're one off the whole thing.
Yeah, well, that could cause a lot of problems in a lot of people's lives. Problems.
But not only that, but it suggests that they need some kind of more robust ID system It's kind of subtly saying like, oh, we need better identification methods.
Yeah, good catch.
To make sure that you're you and we don't accidentally say that you're someone else and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's all part of the Hegelian dialectic.
Quantum dot tattoo so we know we didn't mix you up with anybody else.
Yeah. Well, it's just, or, they just inject you and we inject everybody. Shoot them in the vein.
Yeah. All right. There you go. You can test positive even without testing.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on here. We got a few more quick ones about the coronavirus. This is a vaccine update. Vaccine. This was actually published on Wired.com, but I got the paywall, so I couldn't read the Wired version.
Mm-hmm.
So I found it on science.slash.org.
Science.slash.
Yeah. I think hopefully this is a republishing of it. But the article's titled COVID-19 Vaccines with Minor Side Effects Could Still Be Pretty Bad. Quote, the risk of nasty side effects in the Moderna and Oxford trials should be made clear now before it ends up as fodder for the skeptics, argues Hilda Bastian, a former consumer healthcare advocate and a PhD student at Bond University who studies evidence-based medicine. An anonymous reader shares an excerpt from her article via Wired. On Monday, vaccine researchers from Oxford University and pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca announced results from, I think we read this article the other day. Is this the one that talks about how half the people got sick? And
yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. So this is the one we read a few days ago, where it says 1/3 of the people vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine without acetaminophen. Oh, that's the other thing. They were pumping these people full of acetaminophen, which they should tell the public. Maybe I should just, I'll read this part here. The press release for Monday's publication of results from the Oxford vaccine trials described an increased frequency of minor side effects among participants. A look at the actual paper, though, reveals this to be a marketing spin that has since been parroted in media reports. Yes, mild reactions were far more common than worse ones, but moderate or severe harms, defined as being bad enough to interfere with daily life or needing medical care, were common too. Around 1/3 of people vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine without acetaminophen experienced moderate or severe chills, fatigue, headache, malaise, and other feverishness. Close to 10% had a fever of at least 100.4 degrees, and just over 1/4 developed moderate or severe muscle aches. That's a lot in a young and healthy group of people, and the acetaminophen didn't help much for most of those problems. The paper's authors designated the vaccine as, quote, acceptable and, quote, tolerated. But we don't yet know how acceptable this will be to most people. What about the Moderna vaccine? Quote, according to the press release from May, there were no serious adverse events for the people in that particular dosage group, reports Wired. But last week's paper shows the full results. By the time they'd had 2 doses, every single one was showing signs of headache, chill, or fatigue. And for at least 80%, this could have been enough to interfere with their normal activities. A participant who had a severe reaction to a participant who had a severe reaction to a particularly high dose has talked in detail about how bad it was. If reactions even half as bad as this were to be common for some of these vaccines, they will be hard sells once they reach the community, and there could be a lot of people who are reluctant to get the second injection. So, I thought it was weird that, we reported on it and then it's gone semi-mainstream with Wired.
Well, I'm looking at it. Yeah. So I was looking at it again. This isn't the exact story that we read, but it does refer to it. I want to read part of that Wired article real quick because they get a little bit into the reporting of it as problematic. And I think this is very interesting because this is something, A, that we interact with on this show, and B, everybody is going to end up interacting with as vaccines actually become available. So I'm going to skip the first paragraph, but let's hit this. As both of these groups, talking about the Moderna and the Oxford vaccines, and others push ahead into the final phase of testing, it's vital that the public has a clear and balanced understanding of this work, one that cuts through all the marketing and hype. But we're not off to a good start. The evidence so far suggests that we're getting blinkered by these groups' PR and so seduced by stories of their amazing speed that we're losing track of everything else. In particular, neither the mainstream media nor the medical press has given much attention to the two vaccines' potential downsides. In particular, their risk of nasty adverse effects. Even if they're not life-threatening, this sort of puffery doesn't only help to build a false impression, it may also dry the tinder for the future spread of vaccine fear-mongering. Then there's a block quote here. If journalists don't start asking tougher questions, this will become the perfect setup for anti-vaccine messaging. Here's what they forgot to tell you about the risks. So, we read... even the story that we read on Monday, where they were talking about some of the side effects, it was kind of, had some rosy cheeks on it. It wasn't, they were trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, there's some headaches and stuff like that. But, it turns out, at least according to this Wired article, that is not a good way to go about this, because if you're saying that the side effects are not so bad, you're just preparing everybody you're giving ammunition to the anti-vaxxers. The article continues here. Back in May, a CNN report described the Oxford group as being the most aggressive in painting the rosiest picture of its product. So let's start with them. Just how rosy is the Oxford picture really? It's certainly true that this week's news shows the vaccine has the potential to provide protection from COVID-19, but there are flies in the ointment. After the first clinical trial for the vaccine began in April, for example, the researchers added new study arms in which people got acetaminophen every 6 hours, referring to what you just read, for 24 hours after the infection. That's not featured in their marketing, of course, and I saw no discussion of this unusual step in media coverage in early summer. Newspapers only said the vaccine had been proven safe with rhesus monkeys and did not cause any adverse effects in those animal tests. It was a worrying signal, though. How rough a ride were people having with this vaccine? Was the acetaminophen meant to keep down fever, headaches, malaise, or all of the above? The Oxford group is also giving acetaminophen to participants in an advanced phase 3 trial now underway in Brazil, too. In another major study of the vaccine involving 10,000 people in the UK, you can't participate if you have an allergy or condition that could be made worse with acetaminophen. No mention of the extra drug, though, in the same group's trial in South Africa. Oh, of course they don't give the painkillers to the South Africans. Again, more racism in these. And I'm making a joke there, but also not really, because they're. I've talked about how PO'd it makes me to hear when they, are so aggressive with testing on Africans, but now they're not even giving Africans the same painkillers to help with the experience than they are with the UK participants. And, one of those problematic pseudoscientific ideas that black people have to deal with in the American medical system is that when they say they have pain, they are taken less seriously and are prescribed pain medication less often for the same pain reported by white patients. So here you go. Here's another example. You got the African trials, and they're not even giving them the painkillers that the UK people get. Anyways, moving on. Journalists could have pressed them on this issue months ago. The first people to get vaccines are carefully picked to be the least likely to have a negative reaction. If the Oxford vaccine is knocking them around badly, it might not bode well for the rest of us. Don't get me wrong, a day or two of pain or illness wouldn't deter me from getting the effective COVID-19 vaccine, but I think we need to be prepared if that's going to be the case. And then it goes on doing the same thing, basically saying, hey, they are not being completely honest with the effect that these, the adverse effects that these vaccines are causing. And which is true, that's going to give a lot of ammunition to the anti-vaxxers. People start getting these vaccines and feeling like total junk for 3 days afterwards. That's really going to turn some people off, I think.
Yeah. And we know that this is about something else. Control, but also money.
Vaccine.
NPR.org. U.S. to get 100 million doses of Pfizer coronavirus vaccine in $1.95 billion deal. The federal government has reached a $1.95 billion deal with Pfizer to acquire 100 million doses of its vaccine candidate against the coronavirus if the Food and Drug Administration okays it. The vaccine would be free to Americans, according to the deal, though healthcare providers could charge to administer it. Oh, so healthcare providers can charge, but it's free to Americans? Okay. The Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Defense announced the deal Wednesday as part of Operation Warp Speed, the Trump administration's push to have a coronavirus vaccine widely available by January. Which, by the way, we didn't really talk about it earlier, but did you notice how Trump's all about the mask now?
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, he's like, it's patriotic to wear a mask, and he's like, holding up the whole.
He's got my cool president logo on it. Beautiful. It's the biggest, most beautiful mask.
Pfizer is working on the vaccine with BioNTech, a German company. Clinical trials began in April, and Pfizer announced positive early results this week, though it has yet to announce that data have been vetted and published in a medical journal. Wait, hold on. Let me read that. Clinical trials began in April, and Pfizer announced positive early results this week, though it has yet to announce that data have been vetted and published in a medical journal. It's kind of worded weird, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Larger safety and efficacy studies could begin later this month. Quote, if the ongoing studies are successful, Pfizer and BioNTech expect to be ready to seek emergency use authorization or some form of regulatory approach as early as October 2020. The company said in a statement. AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, which is that company we were just talking about with all the vaccines having issues, and Novavax have already received large contracts as part of Operation Warp Speed. Though Operation Warp Speed, through Operation Warp Speed, we are assembling a portfolio of vaccines to increase the odds that the American people will have at least one safe, effective vaccine as soon as the end of this year, HHS Secretary Alex Azar said in a press conference. The agreement also allows the government to acquire an additional 500 million doses of the Pfizer vaccine. 500 million!
That's too many millions!
We got to inject people twice. Concerned about price gouging. U.S. Rep. Jan Schakowsky, Democrat, Illinois, asked vaccine manufacturers at a House Committee on Energy and Commerce hearing on Tuesday whether they would commit to selling their vaccines at no profit. Moderna and Merck declined to make this pledge, of course. AstraZeneca said its existing deal with the federal government stipulated that it would sell 300 million doses to the government at no profit. Johnson & Johnson said it would provide its vaccine at a not-for-profit price during the pandemic. That'll be interesting. What if they call off the pandemic And they're like, oh, it's no longer a pandemic because we have the vaccine.
Yeah.
And all these guys can make all their money. Pfizer did not make a similar statement in its announcement on Wednesday's deal, and Schakowsky noted that the company had previously said it would sell its vaccines for a profit. Quote, we recognize that these are extraordinary times, and our pricing will reflect that during the term of the pandemic. Pfizer's chief business officer, John Young, said during the hearing, quote, we'll price our potential vaccine consistent with the urgent global emergency that we're facing. And secondly, we also believe, and critically, that COVID vaccines should be free to the public. A vaccine is meaningless if people are unable to afford it. He applauded the CARES Act, which he said would allow many patients to get the coronavirus vaccine with no cost sharing. Quote, we'll see what that means, Schakowsky said. So there you go. Millions of doses for free.
Woo!
For all Americans.
Yeah.
Thank you, all you science people. And
yeah, it's interesting. Trump's numbers began to fall recently, specifically because people cited his response to the coronavirus thing, and it seems like he's trying to make those numbers back, pre-purchasing way too many. They got 500 million of that one vaccine. They bought 100 million of the other vaccine. They're just buying up all these vaccines that they're not proven yet. And of course, they're cramming 4 to 10 years of research into 4 months. So we'll see how that turns out. But I know
how it's going to turn out.
I think he's trying. Yeah, exactly. I think he's trying to flip his numbers for the election coming up, trying to get the Republicans who are buying into it to get back on his side there. So, Gons, we have this flashback here. I think that's kind of an evergreen, and I think we should move it to next show.
Okay.
For time's sake.
That's a good idea.
That's.
Do you want to read do you want to give him the headline though?
Yeah, sure. We'll do a little teaser. This will be a flashback from Forbes, and the article is titled "Why the WHO Faked a Pandemic." So make sure to tune in on Friday.
Yes. 2010. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a little quick break here.
Yeah. Let's take a break.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
We went a long time without a break.
I know. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break here, but don't go anywhere because after the break, we've got a report on each and every lovable member of the four horsemen of the technocalypse. You're going to want to keep up with them. Some very interesting UFO comments from Marco Rubio, and we'll see what we can get to after that, but also some welfare workers wearing some very suspicious t-shirts that actually got some of them fired. So we will get into that right after this break. Don't go anywhere. So let's do this, because what we want to do is thank, first of all, some of our new Twitch followers. Gons, are you ready?
Yes, give me one sec. Okay, here we go. Yep.
Okay, you got it. You're ready. I want to thank these Twitch followers because we've been trying to build our group over there on Twitch. It really helps us out when you guys go and follow us there at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. But not only does it help us out, and that's really true, it really does. So thank you. That's why we thank these people. But also, Twitch, as far as a platform goes, has been pretty kind to us compared to the way that YouTube treats us. YouTube uses and abuses us, but it's also got a more reliable notification system, as well as a bunch of other fun stuff and more fun emojis. Twitch is where it's at, so thank you very much. If you haven't done it yet, I really hope that you would consider going over to Twitch, make a new account. You don't connect it to your Facebook or anything, so that's a bonus. But make sure to turn on notifications, because the way YouTube has been treating us, we don't know how long we're going to be there. There you go. You need a backup. It's good to have a backup because notifications don't go out on YouTube very often. But so I want to thank some of these people here. First of all, Gons, I want to thank Enoch 223.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's and then we backwards have 322.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Brain Chips Ahoy. Thank you, Brain Chips Ahoy.
I feel like that one's existed before.
Maybe. And also, I think Didymus 1979 gave us a little double follow, but thank you anyways. Random Thoughts 59. Girly 89.
Girly.
USCG Mom. Thank you, USCG Mom. And now we've got an organic Twitch follower here coming in to say, see what's going on. And the name gives it away. Demon Wolf Lore.
All right.
Yeah, so
ominous,
but I think he's an organic Twitch user, so that's always nice. We got PC Nihongo.
Ooh, Japanese.
Yeah, PC Japanese. In Undeterminable. Thank you, Undeterminable. We got Bilot 52. Below. This one's great. Loving this one. Basil's favorite cat. Thank you, Basil's favorite cat, for the follow. Little Bunny Flu. Yeah, J Wolf Twitch. And those are all of our new Twitch followers. Thank you guys so much for helping us out. Let me reload, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Nope, got them all. Okay, and if you guys want a shout out on the show, please consider following us at twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Turn on notifications. It's a good time over there. They got the best chat, too. All the cool kids are over on Twitch. And Gons, we're going to be smushing together our 2 breaks today. So I think it's time we thank some producers.
Yes.
Okay.
And also grieve.
What?
I said, and also grieve.
Oh, grieve. Yes, we do have some grieving to do. So, For those who don't know, we're on the value for value model, which, to put it simply, we don't believe in advertising. We believe that that's part of the economics of this world that have caused a lot of problems and have put the truth saying in jeopardy. Once you start taking advertising, then you tend to want to not lose those advertising dollars, and you start to edit your message to keep Swiffer WetJet's money in your pocket. But we decided a long time ago that's not how we want to do it. We don't want to be beholden to the economic structures of this world. And we used to ask for donations, but that's really not the truth of the situation. They're not those who don't donate or help support the show are not just generous people who appreciate the work we do. This is the real world, baby, which means if you help pay for a production of a piece of media like this, you are a producer. So we want to thank some of our producers here at patreon.com/ccnt. If you want to become a producer, you can also head to patreon.com/ccnt. Now, here's the sad part, the grieving that we must do over the past few weeks, and it is tax month, so we're giving everybody a little bit of a break here. But over the past few weeks, not a lot of producers. And I got to say, over at patreon.com/ccnt, we have 0 new producers this week, Gons. Last one was Treasure Cat back on Monday there. So we have no new producers. Very sad. And so in that case, I thought, well, let me go check the other Patreon account, patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And what do I see there? I see 3 deletions since last show, which is also very sad. So not only do we have no new producers, but we had a couple people jump overboard there. So I don't know. Did we say something bad? Did we offend somebody? Did we speak too much truth? What's the deal?
Maybe I got mad at you and people got mad and they
say, don't be mean to my friend Basil. I'm going to take all your money away. But there you go. That's the way it is. People, for whatever reason, and who knows, like I said, it's tax month. So it's a little bit of a more difficult month for everybody. So we feel you there. But nothing to report on the Patreon accounts. That has never happened since the beginning of us doing these live streams. But for those who don't like Patreon, we have canarycryradio.com/support.
Canary
canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. For those who don't like Patreon, that's okay. You can head to canarycryradio.com/support. We got PayPal options there, monthly subscriptions, as well as one-time support amounts for those who are not big fans of commitment. But that's a great way to support us as well. And there's some cryptocurrency. Gons, please tell me somebody came in at on the support page.
Yes, we actually did get a new producer, or a one-time producer support, and it was from Daniel. So thank you, Daniel, for not making it an empty show on the support section.
I feel a little better. Thank you, Daniel.
And in addition to that, we received 49.4 XRP tokens. That's cryptocurrency from probably the same source that we've been getting our crypto from, but we'll give a gong for that one.
XRP, what's that sitting at nowadays?
Oh, it's
20 cents?
19 cents.
19?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
the all-time high was $3.20 something cents.
Oh, we got to get there,
yeah,
man.
it's the banker's coin, man. I'm not a huge fan of XRP, but hey, if you're going to support us with XRP.
Is that Monero? That's Ripple is what that is.
No, that's Ripple. Yeah. Or no, Ripple is the company that issues. Anyway.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. No nights, no jingles.
No nights, no jingles, short break time. Maybe we should just sit here and waste some time as punishment. We can either spend the time reading out producers' names.
The producers.
Or you can hear me read the back of a shampoo bottle during this time. You choose. I'm just kidding. So thank you very much, Daniel. And yes, we understand things are tight for everybody, but I will say, keep in mind though, it's a value for value model. So if you get value out of it, you have the opportunity to put some value back in, because that's the only way it keeps going. There's only so long we can go without people helping produce the show. And we hope, that the Lord blesses you all and you feel led to help keep the show going. So thank you guys very, very much for considering that. And I think once we get out of July, I think some people will have find it in their heart to help support the show. But there's other ways you can help produce the show. We've got art. What do we got? We got art. Yes, we have producers who create art, very talented people, art related to the show specifically. And what do we got today, Gonzo?
We have Gazel and Bonds sending us another piece of art here.
Gazel and Bonds. Allie, thank you very much, listener. Allie.
Yes. She sent us 3. I'm only going to show 1 for this episode here, but it was...
we're going to save some, huh?
We'll save some. And
Okay.
this one is a picture of Monty, a hand-drawn image of Monty.
Let's take a look. Hold on. Let me get over to where I can see what we're doing here. Oh, yes. This one was very good. Yes, ready for the show. Monty is, and a very nice depiction of one of the Montys here. This looks like Monty 1, and he is surrounded by Canary Cry scripts and scripts for CCNT. And what does that one say? Twitch user files. Yeah. So there you go. The script for Canary Cry News Talk is written by the cat. And so we're very grateful that he takes the time to do that. And thank you very much, Gazel and Bonds, a loyal listener and producer, producing all sorts of good art. And to keep the show a little shorter today, we're just going to show this one. But trust us, we will be showing the rest on Friday.
Yes, and I believe we have another one here from... Oh, gee, which one was this from? I think this was this Garrett? I think it was Garrett who sent us a series of artwork.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was Garrett. Thank you very much. Yeah, these are cool. Garrett, he's been doing some art here and there for us for a little while, but we haven't actually been showing the art live on the show for a while. This one's great for those who are just listening. It's a sort of a shadowy, masked figure wearing the the mask with a sort of a retro style green, purple, red, and black all-seeing eye on the mask there. And at the top is the word resist. So resist we much. Thank you very much, Garrett, for that.
And the last one we have here is from X 4.0. And this one was actually sent to us live during the show last episode because I went off on you, Basil, and
I forgot about
got a little upset at you, and somebody just took that as inspiration and created art.
This was great.
Basically,
I loved it. Was waiting for us in our inbox when we got off the show, and this is we talked about 28 Days Later, the zombie movie, and of course you being irritated that I had stalled the show for 38 minutes. So we have here a picture. Do you have it up there?
I do.
Okay, my stream's a little bit behind. Yes, it's a picture of Gons, and it's on MS Paint, which was actually I believe it was in the file name that he sent us. An MS Paint painting, I guess, of Gons. He's very angry, very angry.
Eyes are bloodshot.
He has bloodshot eyes in your hat there, in your headphones, and you are being very aggressive, rattling a cage, and inside the cage is my head with my VR goggles on the body of a canary, and I look very sad at the angry Gons zombie.
You can't forget
off to the side there's the pair of pants that it took me 38 minutes to put on. That was a funny one. Thank you very much, Garrett.
So thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, that was
40
X 4.0, or I don't exactly know how to
I think
reference
it's just
him, but
40 is what my email said. But there you go. So live art made during the show. So very good. Okay, well we got the best, most artistic producers. I appreciate it.
I love
very
all
much.
the drawings and everything coming in. So
38
awesome job,
minutes
everybody.
later.
38 minutes later.
All right.
Basil's cage was rattled.
Well, we better get back to the show. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. Let's get back.
Okay.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Wake up time. Let's do
Wake
it.
up,
Okay.
wake up.
Let's get connected to all of our four horsemen of the technocalypse.
The four horsemen of the technocalypse.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
That's right.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Thanks, Elon.
You are connected. Now, for those who don't know who the four horsemen of the technocalypse they are, we identified them years ago just to keep track of those who are going to propel us into the future technocalypse. Those people are Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates. And we've got a little report on each one of them separately. We'll start out with Elon Musk here. This is from Futurism.com, and this article is titled Elon Musk says Neuralink will stream music straight into your brain. Ooh.
Yay.
Elon Musk's brain hacking startup Neuralink is gearing up for a long-awaited reveal on August 28th. Did you know this?
Yeah.
How did I miss?
So.
Maybe I forgot it. I totally missed August 28th. That is very soon.
Yep.
Wow.
About a month away.
We'll see. Well, hopefully it goes better than the Cybertruck reveal, where he busted the window out. Live in front of everybody. Elon Musk's brain hacking startup Neuralink is geared up for a long-awaited reveal on August 28th. And Musk himself can't seem to help himself from teasing the brain-computer interface. On Sunday afternoon, when computer scientist Austin Howard asked Musk on Twitter if we could one day listen to music directly through such an interface, streaming it directly into the brain, in other words, with no headphones needed, Musk replied with a curt yes. We still know very little about what Neuralink has been working on. Our best look so far came during a 2019 presentation in which the company showed off a device that hooks up to the brain via holes in the skull cut by lasers. Oh my gosh. Early iterations of such a device are largely aimed at repairing broken neural connections in those who suffer brain disorders, including Parkinson's, Musk said during a recent podcast appearance. It's still entirely unclear if Neuralink's brain-computer interfaces will ever be able to bypass the ear, the cochlear nerves, and beam music magically into the auditory brain. But Musk has already set his sights on bigger things when asked by another Twitter user if Neuralink's devices could also help, quote, stimulate the release of oxytocin, serotonin, and other chemicals when needed. Musk replied with another yes. While some high-tech headphones have promised to beam music straight to your brain, they achieve this by sending vibrations to the skull, not stimulating neurons inside of the brain. To make that feature, to make that feature and more of reality. Typo alert there.
No, I don't think that's a typo.
To make that feature and more of reality.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me, but maybe it's my ESL. To make that feature and more a reality.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got me. To make that feature and more a reality, Neuralink is looking to add more, well, brains to its operations. Quote, if you've solved hard problems with phones, wearables, sealing, signal processing, inductive charging, power management, etc., please consider working at Neuralink, Musk tweeted over the weekend. Oh, so they're searching for talent. So
I need more brains.
There you go. We need more brains, folks. So there you go. Very interesting. You know, I did not know about the August 28th thing, or if I did, I forgot about it. That's very soon. The future is almost here, Gonzo.
Well, the vibrations to the skull is not anything new. The voice-to-skull technology has existed and has been used in warfare already.
Yeah,
as most of the listeners know.
He specifically said it's not the skull vibration technology.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, the article said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To make more reality, adding more brains. Oh, well, some high-tech cause. Not stimulating. Okay. Yeah. All right. Kind of.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. All right.
All right.
Yep.
So there you go. More to come.
More to come. More four horsemen of the technocalypse.
The four horsemen of the technocalypse.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
I am not capable of hatred.
This was published. This is more of a visual story. NewYorkPost.com. Mark Zuckerberg surfs in Hawaii with way too much sunscreen.
If you spent any time on Facebook over the past few days, you've certainly seen this picture.
Yeah. What a joker. New photos show Facebook honcho Mark Zuckerberg zipping around on an electric surfboard in Hawaii while wearing enough white sunscreen on his face to make the Batman supervillain blush. And, I'm not going to even read the story because I just want to see the picture. What do you think about the picture? I sent you the picture of a close-up of his face over the weekend, and you didn't even realize who it was until you were back on social media.
No, I had not seen the actual full-screen picture. For those who are just listening, it's a picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and he's on one of those automatic surfboards that kind of propels itself through the water, and you hold this little much like the thing I'm holding now, just like a little controller in your hand. And it is just the most awkward thing I've ever seen. Yeah, he's such a nerd. He's on the thing, and he's got this weird outfit on, those sunproof shirts. It looks like he's wearing a sweatshirt in the water.
It does.
And he's kind of sticking his booty out there, and his face, it looks like he's in whiteface. He looks like a mime. He looks like a
I was gonna say he looks like a mime. Yeah, that's what I thought. Mime or
Before I had seen this picture, you sent me a extreme close-up of his face. And I'm like, why are you sending me this? I don't know what this is. I just ignored it. And it wasn't until I logged online and saw the picture, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Yeah. So he's testing out his futuristic surfboard technology there. And, when you're a lizard person, you really got to protect your human skin suit from the sun. And so that's what he's doing there.
I'm just wondering who was the person that said, hey, Mark, get over here. We got to make sure to protect you from the sun.
I don't think anybody did. I think that was his. This can only be the choice of an antisocial, billionaire with psychopathic tendencies and a robot heart.
That's why
it's whiteface. This is offensive.
It's whiteface. It is. It's racist for sure. It's mocking. And that's why we use the Data quote from Star Trek as our sort of Zuckerberg thing.
I am not capable of hatred.
Yeah.
Because I think it kind of relates to that, but also if you didn't think we lived in clown world before,
oh my, total clown.
Here's your proof.
All right, let's keep going for time's sake here. Next, we have Bezos.
The four horsemen of the technocalypse.
Anytime you see the four horsemen, it's something special.
Something special. Oh, I just gotta love that laugh. SFGate.com. Jeff Bezos adds record $13 billion in a single day to fortune. Jeff Bezos added $13 billion to his net worth on Monday, just for
on Monday.
On Monday, in one day. Now, to keep that in mind, to refer to some math that I talked about earlier in the show, $13 billion is enough to give every man, woman, and child $1,000 every week for an entire year. He could support the entire economy for an entire year with what he made on Monday. This is, okay, I'm going to read the article. We'll see if I still feel passionately about what I was about to say at the end. Jeff Bezos added $13 billion to his net worth on Monday, the largest single-day jump for an individual since the Bloomberg Billionaires Index was created in 2012. Amazon.com Incorporated shares surged 7.9%, the most since December 2018, on rising optimism about web shopping trends, and are now up 73% this year. Bezos, Amazon's 56-year... Wow, he's 56. Okay. Bezos, Amazon's 56-year-old founder and the world's richest person, has seen his fortune swell $74 billion in 2020. That's about enough to pay every man, woman, and child $1,000 a week for 4.5, almost 5 years, to $189.3 billion, despite the U.S. entering its worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. He's now personally worth more than the market valuation of giants such as ExxonMobil Corp., Nike Inc., and McDonald's Corp. Oh my gosh. He, as an individual man, is worth more than ExxonMobil.
You know what else he's worth more than?
What?
The entire market cap of Bitcoin by itself.
Oh yeah, totally.
Bitcoin is about 175 billion right now as we record this.
Wow.
He's worth more than that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Insanity.
Mackenzie Bezos, his ex-wife, gained $4.6 billion Monday and is now the 13th richest person in the world. Other tech titans are also enjoying a surge driven partly by people forced to stay at home and helped by the boost given to market Markets by unprecedented stimulus efforts by governments and central bankers. 7 of the 10 richest people on the planet owe their wealth to the sector, including Elon Musk, whose fortune has soared around $47 billion so far in 2020. Facebook chief executive officer Mark Zuckerberg has added almost $15 billion to his net worth, even as company deals with brands boycotting ads on social network. So there you go. They mentioned 3 of the 4 horsemen of the technocalypse.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They're all coming together with their billions of dollars.
Yeah, that's why, man.
Yeah, we were joking, but we may not be as far off as we thought in terms of the joke.
Wow, that's incredible. It just breaks my heart to see how much trouble people are in nowadays. You know, and you know, we're kind of tongue in cheek when it comes to people becoming producers of the show, although it is serious and we do need it, but we understand the times are really hard, but it really, this is its own kind of class warfare. Just reading this article makes me so mad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's get to the last one here. The fourth horseman of the technocalypse that we haven't mentioned yet.
The 4 horsemen of the technocalypse.
Anytime you see the 4 horsemen, it's something special.
We're taking things that are genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein, right into the vein, right into the vein, right into the vein.
This is allafrica.com. Nigeria. Bill Gates donates $1 million to address COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. The UN finance support platform tagged One UN COVID-19 Response Basket Fund says it has received additional $1 million to help Nigeria to address challenges posed by the pandemic in the country. The UN Development Program, the UNDP, which manages the Basket Fund, made this known in a statement on Tuesday in Abuja. The statement quoted Mohammed Yahya, the UNDP resident representative in Nigeria, as saying that the additional fund was to aid Nigeria as it witnessed a rapid rise in the number of confirmed cases. Mr. Yahya said the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has donated $1 million in support of the Nigerian government in addressing the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic on July 14th, 2020. He said the UN welcomed the contribution of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as it aims to support the country's response in the management of the crisis and the realities of post-crisis, particularly in the protection of vulnerable persons. I thought it said valuable persons. I was like, oh, it's only valuable persons, huh? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the story here, and it gets into some other details.
Yeah, again, and anyways, yeah, so he's continuing his work of influence over there in Africa, as he's been doing for a while. And it's interesting because $1 million is nothing for this guy.
No, it's not a lot of money.
It's absolutely nothing.
He should do that to help people in his own city, probably.
Just whatever.
You know?
Yeah,
just whatever.
We should be hearing more. Like, there should be 10 of these stories a day for it to mean anything. Although we know, as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, aside from all the other nefarious things surrounding that organization, that 501c3s like that organization, I believe that might, 501c3s. They're just investment firms, really. They're tax havens and investment firms, and the money is used to propagate agendas that we're all aware of here on this show. Okay. Yeah. So for time's sake, I do want to get one last story in, Gons.
Okay.
Aliens.
Is that it? Wasn't there more to that jingle?
There was. I don't have it necessarily prepared here.
I was sitting here waiting for the whole song. Aliens. Okay, here we go. Vice.com, another Vice one here. Originally on Motherboard. Marco Rubio hopes UFOs are aliens, not Chinese planes. Florida.
All right.
Florida
Let's do
Senator Marco Rubio said he hopes that UFOs are extraterrestrials and not advanced Chinese aircraft. In a July 16th interview with CBS reporter Jim DeFeedy about a range of topics, including the government's COVID-19 response and the possible existence of extraterrestrial life, quote, "We have things flying over our military bases and places where we're conducting military exercises, and we don't know what it is, and it isn't ours," Rubio said. Quote, "Frankly, if it's something outside this planet, that might actually be better than the fact we've seen some sort of technological leap from the Chinese or Russians or some other adversary that allows them to conduct this sort of activity," Rubio said. Quote, "That is, to me, a national security risk, one we should be looking into." DeFeed and Rubio were talking about the U.S. Navy's declassification and release of 3 UFO videos in April. The videos show Navy pilots encountering strange objects in the sky. The Navy isn't saying the objects were extraterrestrial, but it's not discounting that fact either. At the time of release, former Nevada Senator Harry Reid said the videos only scratched the surface of the Pentagon's UFO research. The State Intelligence Committee, which Rubio currently chairs, recently required the military to produce a report about its UFO task force. That report will presumably be forthcoming. This week, after the death of civil rights icon John Lewis, Rubio tweeted out his condolences alongside a picture of himself with Maryland Republic Elijah Cummings. During his interview with The Feed, Rubio said he would be happy to find out that aliens were visiting Earth. He would be happy to find out that aliens were visiting Earth, rather than be met with advanced technology from an American military rival. A popular theory among extraterrestrial skeptics is that the Navy pilots encountered advanced aircraft from Russia or China, not an alien species. It's even possible, though Rubio discounted this in his interview, that the encounters are part of an American advanced weapons program. So there you go. I hope they're aliens and not the Chiners.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified.
That's
Is
right.
that what you were hoping?
It's unidentified. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's back. So there you go, guys. Hopefully it's aliens,
not
and
Chinese.
not China or Russia. You did mention Russia there. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, it's pretty wild to have such a candid conversation with a sitting representative.
Yeah, I think this is the slow emergence of the conversation and revealing some kind of open disclosure. There's already been some UFO researchers, Ellie Marzulli being one of our colleagues. He would suggest that they've already done disclosure, like that by releasing some of that military footage and stuff. They're already disclosing that there's some kind of presence here.
Well, the psyop value of Rubio saying this is, it is pretty blatant. So, let's just say the full disclosure does come out. Said, yeah, there are aliens and they do kind of fly around and spy on us. It's pretty weird. Oh, but at least it's not the Russians, everybody. Am I right?
or the Chinese. Yeah, and the very last sentence of this article, it's even possible, though Rubio discounted this in his interview, that the encounters are part of an American advanced weapons program. That also is a big part of this. I feel like that a lot of the technology that we see up there that's unidentified is advanced, not just American, but the whole New World Order technology that they've been withholding from the public and things like that. So that's more likely of what it is. And of course, we don't think that there are extraterrestrials that evolved on other planets.
They're
that are
not
here running
extraterrestrials. They're interdimensional.
Thank
Spiritual beings inhabiting grays, biological meat suits that were carved precisely from cows and other livestock in the American Midwest to create homunculi that can be possessed by evil spirits. There you go. It's obvious.
In other words,
having the and the birds are definitely involved.
In other words, Russians and Chinese is what you're trying to say.
Oh, God forbid it's
the misdirection.
Russian and Chinese, yeah.
It's the misdirection.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
Are you good?
Aliens.
I'm good.
Aliens.
Okay, we're getting loopy here. I think it's time to call this one. Thank you,
gotta
everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Here's the thing. Remember, we're going to be back on February. Why did I just say February?
The aliens microchips are, your microchip is, I got to get into to
the
your
software
chip later.
is starting to glitch here. I mean, we'll probably be back in February, but what I meant to say was we'll be back on Friday. Oh my gosh. Friday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to tune in. And please, we understand it's a difficult time right now. It's tax season. But if you could find it in your heart to help support the show, that would be wonderful. We, like I said, we're value for value here. We adamantly do not believe in the advertising model, the economic system of this world that has so drastically negatively affected the information flow of everything going on. And so that's what we do. We can't get demonetized if we're not monetized, Gons. So that's why we need producers. You are the stabilizing force to be able to let us do the work that we do. And, you take part, you take ownership, and it really is a big deal. So thank you very much to Daniel and the other producers who have supported us so far. And we look forward to seeing who is able to come in on Friday. Remember, you can go to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio, and more musically, canarycry.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right, canarycryradio.com/support. Thank you so much. All sorts of fun ways to support the show there. And remember, you can also help produce the show by sending in art. Show-related art. We'll show it on the show, and it'll be available at canarycrynewstalk.com, as well as our Facebook page. I need to update. I need to put more of the art on Facebook. Haven't done that for a couple weeks. You can also create jingles if you're a musically inclined person. Remember to keep them short, keep them snappy, and if you're going to use a copyrighted song, you got to screw with it quite a bit as to not activate a copyright ding for us, but we appreciate that as well. We can play those on the show. And there you go. Another great way to support the show is by leaving a rating and a review. I'll be reading some rating and reviews on Friday. That is more important than people think. I think you, dear listener, you're out there and you hear me sort of ramble off all these things 3 times a week. And I get it. It's easy to become desensitized and or maybe think that other people will do the thing that I'm asking. But I'm telling you, other people aren't doing it. So you, dear listener, if you've got a couple minutes and, if producing the show, if becoming a supporter is not an option for you, please consider leaving a rating and a review. I would love to read some good ratings and reviews. It's very important because it convinces the online algorithms and the robots to share the show with people who have not heard it before. And it's a great way to spread the show. So there you go. So keep that in mind. There are a lot of people who listen, but it tends to be the case that, especially when I kind of get into this repetitive stuff, that people assume other people are going to do it. And I'm telling you, people don't do it. So yes, you, dear listener, you are the one. You are the chosen one. Listen to my voice. Go leave a rating and a review right now.
Don't get all NLP on them.
Also go to patreon.com/CCNT. So yes, do that. We'll read some ratings and reviews. It's a good time. But one of the best ways to support the show, spread the show, is, you got those people in your life. They're starting to realize that the official stories are not lining up. They're starting to realize that something fishy is going on here. And the best way to help them along that journey in a way that does not put you in harm's way is simply to share an episode of the show with them. One of the best ways, I think, is to find the podcast version. You know, it's much easier for people to stick a podcast in their ears during an afternoon of doing chores rather than watching a video, a 2-hour video. So find the podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Stitcher, Spotify, all those things. You can find the podcast, send it to a friend, give them something to listen to. And if you are that friend, if you're here listening to my voice for the first time, welcome. Your cage has been rattled. But if you want to share it with somebody else and you need some instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you what? You shake it!
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, everybody. There you go. Just ask Noah. Make sure to tune in again on Friday, sometime between noon and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're excited to meet you back here on Friday. So we'll see you then, everybody. But remember, before then, you gotta think outside the cage. You just gotta do it.
Is that how we're ending?
I totally lost my mojo there at the second. All right, let me try again. Okay, everybody, see you next time on Canary Cry News Talk. But before then, remember, think outside the cage. That didn't feel right either. I forgot how to do this.
Some bubble bath gonna help me.
Look it up.
I am not capable of hatred.
Aliens. Aliens.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
And melt those babies into candles.
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You and you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. Silence is truth. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
We will launch a new age.